I'm now joined by The Drive's host, Geoff Fienberg. He's got your best bets for anything PGA, anything live golf. Today, we got you with something a little different. It's in the same vein. It's still golf at the end of the day, but it is the match version number 7. They're going to be teeing off on December 10th. It's Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas against the number 1 in the world, Rory McIlroy, and maybe one of the best golfers of all time. Some call him the best golfer of all time. It's Tiger Woods, but we've got Geoff here. Geoff, how's it going? And how's your prep been going for the match?
It is going well. My prep for the match has been, there's only really so much to look into. I'll be honest. My prep for the match is limited in the sense that we finally just got the actual rules and the
Mm-hmm.
configurations. I didn't even know if it was alternate shot or best ball until yesterday. And many would argue that in and itself would be important. But Tiger Woods is golfing on TV. That
Mm-hmm.
is important. That is kind of a big deal. Nice little Saturday night sweet spot. There's no college
Mm-hmm.
football. Army, Navy will have wrapped up. So for the hardcore sports fan, even to just put Tiger on TV as you're doing other things, that seems like where we'll be at on Saturday night.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about everything that you just mentioned, the kind of charity giveaways that we have on different holes that might affect, kind of how you're leaning in this match, no pun intended. But we're going to start with just the vibe around it because it's obviously been a pretty weird year for the PGA, one of the weirdest years, if not the weirdest year they've ever had. So just tell me kind of what your pulse on the community, what the vibe has been like around this with the emergence of live golf and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be honest. The matches, they kind of like the day of. The buildup is always kind of slow. The fact Tiger is
Mm-hmm.
playing will be nice. On that note, apparently the half hour before the match actually starts, it's going to be a roundtable on
Mm-hmm.
TV, I think hosted by Charles Barkley with all 4 of the guys. I would hope Live Golf gets brought up. The discourse around Live Golf for me is pretty entertaining, whether you like or don't like or enjoy Live Golf. I think the conversation around it and its existence and almost like poaching of players, like that sort of
Mm-hmm.
discourse to me is hyper entertaining. So I do hope that they don't ignore the elephant in the room, but these are 4 of the maybe the 4 biggest power players in golf, you could say, from a player perspective. Tiger's
Yep.
certainly more, with Tiger, Rory, and Jordan and Justin, who have sort of taken the mantle as the leaders of American golf, certainly from a team match play perspective.
I mean, let's not kid ourselves either, right? There's a reason these 4 are on the match this year. We've seen other years where there have been a lot of celebrities on, and this year, coincidentally, it's 4 of some of the
Yeah.
best golfers, or 3 of the best golfers in the game right now, and one of the best of all time. This isn't a coincidence, right?
Yeah, you're probably right in that assessment. I mean, we're in football season, so the quarterbacks have been left at
Mhm.
home, but they could have
Fair.
gone fishing for like a Steph Curry or other things to sort of
Hmm.
spice this up. But you're right. They have kept this very tight-knit golf. There were some rumblings. John Rahm might have been a little offended to have been left out, but this seems more than anything like an American television
Hmm.
event.
Comparing just the past iterations of the match where you have, like you mentioned, some of the celebrities and just when they're doing it makes it a little difficult, although there are a lot of quarterbacks that are out of the playoff hunt that you probably could have poached to play a golf match on a Saturday night. How do you kind of compare just actual professional golfers to having celebrities on? Do you have a preference between just a pure entertainment standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is entertainment. I think they should find a way to expand it, have
Hmm.
other matches going on in and around them. I think we all would have been excited to see, like, if they had Tom Kim versus someone else go out like an hour before, 25 minutes ahead, or had a co ed match or something. There are ways
Mm.
I feel like they could have, but hey, Tigers golfing, all the attention, I think maybe
Yeah.
could get focused on that as it compares to the past. Uh, it's just exhibition made for TV event. I'm, it is exhibition. It is sort of luck of the draw in some sense. I've been pretty lucky or good, maybe pick a side at picking
I'll
these
call it
things. I
good.
did lose the Bryson Brooks one. I thought
Hmm.
Bryson would take him, but again, there's so many like a potpourri of factors as to why a guy would care. And, of course, Brooks isn't going to get embarrassed in like a one-on-one. That's made for him. And then going back to the first one, I feel like it was Phil versus Tiger. And I was just
Hmm.
like, listen, Tiger loves winning majors, but when it comes to like a cash game, that's Phil's like bag. That's what Phil's about. So, there's been fun ways to narrative street your way through
Hmm.
these matches, especially if you want to make a wager on them. And as you've kind of alluded to, as we've sort of gone through more iterations, it does feel like it's gotten maybe a little more gimmicky,
Hmm.
with challenges and some things that we'll get to here.
Well, that's a perfect, kind of segue into what we're going to get to. We're going to set the field now because, like you mentioned, there are a lot of different challenges that happen. It's 12 holes that they're playing, and it's also best ball, which is, or it's best score for each hole. So if Tiger shoots a 4 and Rory shoots a 3, they're going to go with 3 as their score for that, which obviously changes the field a little bit. I have the list in front of me. Admittedly, I haven't been able to memorize it. For the charity holes, you have the closest to hole at third and the ninth hole, which, again, changes things. It's just whatever ball gets closest to the hole on the one shot. You have a hole in one challenge as well on the fifth and eighth hole. You have a one club challenge on the fourth hole. So again, if you're staying with us here, there's a lot of different, variety that goes into each hole. When you're kind of looking at an official pick, which we're going to get to later in the show, and you see just all these different mini challenges that go into a match that's not long in general, does this make you less confident, more confident in your pick? I imagine it's a little less confident, right? Because there's just so much that could happen in between.
Yeah, probably a little less confident to a certain extent. The simple fact that if any alternate shot was involved here, I think
Hmm.
Spieth and Thomas would have become a much bigger favorite. They're not even the favorite. They would have been in my opinion, maybe a more sizable favorite because that they've paired together as recently as this past President's Cup and were
Hmm.
perfect. Alt shot just allows Tiger to make a 6 and Rory to make a birdie and Spieth to hit it into the bushes and Justin Thomas to be outstanding. Now, do these challenges affect how I would wager on it? The only one that clearly has any sort of like, whoa, what are we doing here? This is super kind of like wild card would be the one club challenge, right?
Hmm.
I don't know what's up with that. They're going to have to putt with that club. They're going to have to chip with that club. If they end up in a bunker, they're going to have to play their bunker shot with that club. That's great. That's
It's gonna be
fun
fun.
for TV. That makes so much sense. Even the European Tour does these, viral videos where they have players do that, before
Hmm.
tournaments on like a Tuesday. It's hyper entertaining, especially to any of us who play golf. That being said, the like closest to a pin, we're talking about team best ball. So they'd be hyper aggressive on like a par 3 anyway. We both
Hmm.
got 2 shots. We're all world-class golfers. Like I wouldn't have seen a par 3 where they weren't being hyper aggressive and trying to
Hmm.
get it as close to the pin as possible. So while that's great, it's great for charity and they'll give it away, that doesn't really have any impact as to how I would consider betting it. But maybe we're lucky it's only one hole with the one club challenge, because that could be really entertaining. But like I said, that creates like a cavalcade of variants that who picks the club? Do they get to pick the club? Does the
That would be
other
funny.
team pick your club? Are they picking out of a hat? Like every club is in a hat and they pick out a piece of paper and it says that's the club you get. I have no idea. So that's something that, that's sort of like a landmine among the 12
Hmm.
holes if you are actually betting it. But I imagine, and I've made a pick and I'll be
Hmm.
betting it. But I think, I don't know how much even books would take. I'm sure there's like lower limits on even what you could probably get on something
Hmm.
like this. But if you're gonna bet it, just know there's like a huge entertainment element happening here.
Yeah, it definitely makes it more of a wild card. I think going back to just the one club hole that they're doing as of right now, they've said it's only for the fourth hole. But again, it's pure entertainment at this point, so who knows if they're going to change it up. I am all in on the opponent picking your club or just picking out of a hat. I think that would be a great idea. But you did mention you do have a pick for this, so I feel like this is a good time to just kind of set the scene for who's actually playing in this. Because you mentioned it, Spieth and Thomas, both in the top 15 in the PGA rankings. They played really well together. They went a perfect 4-0 in the President's Cup. They've played together so many times at the Ryder's Cup together. They're really good friends. On the other side, you have Rory, who's the number one in the world right now. Tiger is one of the best golfers of all time. Also to note, Rory is the most recent golfer to have competed. He competed last month. Everyone else hasn't golfed since October. Does that really play into it, or what are you kind of looking at between these two pairings?
You see, now I just got to throw a quick red flag there because both JT and Spieth were at the Hero World Challenge at Tiger's thing
Right.
last week, and um, okay, so my pick, and again, you sometimes really have to go with some level of narrative street here. And I get it. If you want to bet on Tiger Woods just because you don't want to bet against Tiger Woods, and even if he's
Spoiler.
not playing great, you still get Rory's ball and he's the
Mm-hmm.
number one player in the world. But using that odds checker grid, it's plus 100 over at Unibet for JT and Spieth. I have to make this pick. It really wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
hard pick to make for me. I had Spieth as top point getter at the President's Cup at 16-1, pretty much on the basis of he's going to ride JT's coattails through the team play, and then we'll see how singles breaks out, and that broke my way. So there's a sense of loyalty to these guys for me in a
Mm.
match right now. Not to mention, how do I put this is my narrative street. Like how badly Spieth and JT just want to beat Tiger. Just for the trash talking of it, just to beat Tiger on TV. With his injuries, with where he's been, the opportunities to do that don't really exist. We wish they exist more. Hopefully they'll exist,
Mm.
plenty more coming up. Although they're all playing in a father-son challenge in a few weeks, and I kind of think it's unfair that JT and Spieth play in that thing against like older players and their actual children, but that's another debate. I'm not
Fair.
triggered about it, but it does rub me the wrong way to a little extent. But for this, like in my opinion, I'm silly enough to think that JT and Spieth are literally having strategy sessions on
Mm-hmm.
like what we're going to do. I mean that. They want to beat Tiger just do it. Um, Tiger, Rory, not to say Tiger's not as competitive as heck. Rory, in some ways, has kind of been thrown into this as this preeminent name in golf and the number one golfer
Mm-hmm.
in the world. He's there to have a great time and make some money for charity. So at plus 100, most places I'm seeing it's still like minus 110 is the consensus.
Mm-hmm.
I would still lay the minus 110. Uh, JT and Spieth for me win the 12-hole best ball match play Capital One, whatever they're calling it. I'm sorry.
One of like the eight names they put for. I think the official full name is Capital One's the Match Seven. But you
Yeah.
can just call it the Match or Match Seven. What if I told you this now? Since the match started being played, they have alternated in winners between the favorite and the underdog. And last time they played, it was Brady and Rogers who won, and they were the favorite. So if you're going by the consensus in the book, that would mean the underdog's going to win, which kind of tilts you Tiger's way. Is that making you question things at all, or no?
No, well, I would say in some of those matches you were laying like, 50 cents or there was some
Mm-hmm.
level of real juice that had developed. This one just sort of seems right on the equator with the book saying, listen, if we're offering this match, if you want to bet it, we're taking our 10%, you pick a side here. And it does seem like maybe you're paying a little bit of a Tiger tax, which is okay. That's fun. Sometimes maybe that happens, but I'm that doesn't change anything for me. It's so close to even.
Mhm.
And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Spieth and Thomas go off as the favorites. Just
Yeah.
as like the people that actually bet golf regularly see, like I can bet Spieth and Thomas as underdogs versus anybody with how they seem to handle any match. I think
Yeah.
that'll be pretty attractive to golf fans as they like now say they don't want to bet it, but when Saturday comes, they're gonna bet it.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. And like you mentioned, Jeff is someone that likes to go shopping. Make sure you're going shopping on OddsChecker and using the grid to get the best value because on a lot of these books, they are the favorites. But if you find the markets in which they're not, you can get them at plus 100. That's fantastic value for, again, two of the top 15 golfers who love playing with each other and who have experience playing with each other going up against Tiger and Rory. Before I let you go, Jeff, I just want to ask you real quick. It's a different sport, but it's Thursday Night Football. You got the Raiders and the Rams. The Raiders are hovering close to a touchdown favorite. Line has been moving a little bit up and down. They probably will be facing against Baker Mayfield, which should be interesting. Just real quick, getting a pulse. What are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, I don't know if if Mayfield will be in there yet.
Hmm.
The game's in LA, but it will be a sea of Raider Nation.
Yeah.
They've won 3 in a row. Their fans are re-energized in Los Angeles. They will fill
Hmm.
that place. A month ago, they probably said, "No chance in hell I want to go to this game." Now they like probably can't wait to go to
Hmm.
this game. These Thursday nighters this late in the season, like so much of it is the energy and getting up for it because it's really hard. The Raiders, their pass rush is on with Aaron Donald probably out still. Will the Rams get to the quarterback? You can't get to the quarterback right now. Carr will find Adams. Just ask me, a sad Charger fan. I'm leaning to the Raiders. Just that energy, this nationally
Hmm.
televised game, it'll feel like they're at home. I'd be willing to lay close to that touchdown, I feel.
Yeah, I mean so the Rams. I almost said the Chargers. The Rams have been so bad this season, and they literally have nothing to play for at this point. Not even a draft pick. I probably lean with you on the Raider side. Just I think too much talent, and hopefully your Chargers can make a late run and make things interesting in the AFC West. He's Geoff Fienberg. I'm Matias Weilmann. You can catch him every week when the PGA is going on, when Live Golf is going on the drive right here on OddsChecker. Make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube page to get all the latest episodes, and make sure you're subscribing just to make sure you can win $500 this holiday season. Jeff, really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.